Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. I don't know about you, but I have high hopes for 2022. Like, we are overdue for a good year. To celebrate the new year, I am doing a little sale on all of my workout programs and ebooks. If you want to use the code FIT22, you will get yourself 22% off in celebration of 2022. So you can get yourself Project Comeback, which is my 6-week program designed to get you back on track after maybe falling off track for the holidays or falling off track because of everything that 2020 and 2021 did to us. Or you can get yourself Brains and Gains, which is a full workout, nutrition, and wellness program designed to get you gains for your body and gains for your brain. The workout program is phased for continuous progress. You can choose your frequency of working out 2 to 6 times per week. There's also vacation and finals week workouts written in there if you're a student or just someone who has that kind of schedule or wants to have like supplement workouts for things that might happen in life that make it harder to do your normal workout routine. And lastly, my ebook Adaptogens 101 is on sale. This is an ebook all about adaptogens, the science behind them, and over 50 yummy and delicious recipes for how to use them. So I'll leave a link to that down in the description box below. But without further ado, let's talk about what we're here to talk about. And that's the fact that in November, after months and months and months of me saying that I wanted to quit caffeine, I finally quit caffeine. You might be saying, Marissa, why would you even conceive of doing that to yourself? I started drinking coffee regularly about a year ago when I embarked on my fat loss journey because caffeine is a well-known exercise performance booster, and I figured it would be helpful to boost the performance of my exercise if I am on a fat loss journey. So I was like, caffeine it is. And then I just got literally addicted to coffee because coffee is a literal drug and it does that to you. And I personally just don't want to be addicted to anything. If you drink coffee regularly, you probably know how it feels to go like 1 or 2 days without caffeine. Symptoms of withdrawal can be headache, fatigue, low energy, anxiety, poor mood, depression, irritability, poor concentration, tremors. I want to be able to feel great without having to use a drug to get there. Almost every time that I mentioned on YouTube or Instagram that I wanted to quit caffeine, I got a lot of pushback from people saying like, why would you want to quit something that makes you so happy? Like, clearly you enjoy this, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing, yes, mochas bring me joy. Mostly because I love chocolate. My walk to get coffee in the morning brought me joy. But being physiologically addicted to something brings me unjoy. And that negative joy that I got from that was stronger than the positive joy that I was getting from consuming caffeine. So overall, the net effect of joy from caffeine on my life was net negative. So those are my personal reasons for wanting to quit caffeine. But before we dive into my journey of quitting caffeine, I want to explore some of the other reasons that some people may want to consider taking a break from caffeine. Because here's the thing, caffeine is the most widely used psychoactive drug in the world, and we live in a society that has embraced and glorified the use of this stimulant in everyday life, but we rarely examine the dark sides of it. It's very easy to find lists of the benefits of coffee and caffeine, and I want to make it clear that there are benefits. Like, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not making this video to like vilify caffeine and say everyone needs to quit caffeine like right now. But for the sake of this video not being like 10 hours long, I'm going to not address the benefits because they're really easy to find online, and almost every coffee addict has 1 or 2 in their back pocket to pull out to justify their addiction. We're going there. So this part of the video may sound super negative and anti-caffeine, but I'm not trying to demonize it, I'm not trying to vilify it, and I strongly believe that people can have a very healthy relationship with caffeine. Okay? Okay. Good. Thanks. So here's the biggest and in my opinion most interesting thing is that genetics can actually play a big role in whether or not coffee gives you all of the purported benefits or is actually more negative for your body. Are we surprised that this comes down to bioindividuality? No. Caffeine is metabolized in the liver by an enzyme that is encoded for it by the CYP1A2 gene. But this gene has basically 2 variants that either make you a fast metabolizer of caffeine or a slow metabolizer of caffeine. And this is split in about 50% of the population. So like half the population fast metabolizers, half the population slow metabolizers. Fast metabolizers seem to get all the benefits of drinking coffee. For slow metabolizers, on the other hand, drinking coffee is associated with a higher risk of heart disease, a higher risk of hypertension. It's associated with impaired fasting glucose levels, and it may not have some of the protective effects against certain cancers that we see for fast metabolizers of caffeine. But regardless of whether or not you are a fast or slow metabolizer, there are a lot of negative effects that caffeine can have on your body. First and foremost is that caffeine causes a spike in cortisol in the body. And as we all know, keeping cortisol balanced, keeping stress managed is so important, like critical for your overall health. Compounding on this problem, people tend to drink more coffee when they're stressed. This just adds more stress to stress. This can make any chronic or underlying illnesses that you have worse. It can contribute to weight gain. Another thing that coffee can negatively impact is your sex hormones, because if you increase cortisol through your caffeine consumption, it can tank your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone. Basically, if you're dealing with any sort of hormonal imbalances like PMS, yes, PMS is common, but it is not normal. It's a sign that you have some sort of hormonal imbalance. Or if you have low libido or irregular menstrual cycles or anything like that, one of the first steps that you might want to take to healing those hormonal imbalances is cutting back on caffeine. Alyssa Vitti, author of Woman Code and In the Flow, amazing books about hormones that I highly recommend, says, if you're struggling with your period, fibroids, cysts of any kinds in the breast or ovary, endometriosis, infertility, low sex drive, moodiness, low energy, and weight issues, coffee is making these problems much worse. We love Queen Alyssa. We listen to Queen Alyssa. Another thing that coffee can impact that we all kind of know about already is sleep. But this is just such an important one, so I need to talk about it. Cortisol and melatonin are inversely related. In the morning, your cortisol is supposed to rise and then fall off towards the end of the day. And then as cortisol is falling, melatonin can rise when it's time to start falling asleep. Melatonin is the sleep hormone. Like, you need enough melatonin to get a good night's sleep. But if you still have elevated cortisol in your body, the melatonin's not going to be able to rise as much because, again, they're inversely related. And since caffeine increases cortisol, that means caffeine is going to suppress melatonin. The half-life for caffeine for fast metabolizers is about 4 to 6 hours. So if you consume a cup of coffee that has about 200 milligrams of caffeine at 9 a.m., at 9 p.m., you're still going to have about 50 milligrams of caffeine in your system. For slow metabolizers, the half-life is longer. It's about 8 to 10 hours. So if you have 200 milligrams of caffeine at 9 a.m., by 9 p.m., you're gonna have a lot more than 50 milligrams still in your system. And that is definitely going to impact your sleep quality. And even more interestingly, the half-life of caffeine is doubled in women on hormonal contraceptives. Here's the thing, even if you feel fine, even if you're like Marissa, I have caffeine in the morning, I have 5 cups of coffee a day, and I still sleep great. You might think you're sleeping great, but you don't know how much better your sleep could be until you cut out all caffeine. Now let's talk about how coffee can impact your nutrition. We're just going through all the pillars of health here, basically. Now the research is contradictory on this one, but there is some research to suggest that caffeine can impact how your body metabolizes sugar. There's some research to suggest that caffeine consumption can decrease insulin sensitivity by 15%. This has been shown mostly in people that already have insulin issues, but that's a good percentage of the population, so worth mentioning. Another big thing about caffeine that I think is really important to mention, especially as a lot of people are working on transitioning towards intuitive eating and listening to your body, is that caffeine kind of cuts off communication with your body, or at least distorts it. Stimulants and depressants work by tricking our bodies into feeling something that they're not actually feeling. Caffeine works by blocking the adenosine receptors in your brain. So it doesn't actually make you more energized, it just prevents you from feeling more tired. Also, I think this is super important to mention for anyone who's trying to heal their relationship with their body and with food in particular, is that caffeine is an appetite suppressant. This is why one of my main recommendations for anyone who's trying to learn to listen to their body for the first time is cut stimulants, because they're going to affect how your body's communicating what it needs. Here's my personal opinion, is you're never going to understand your relationship with caffeine until you try to come off it. 99% of people with health issues or hormone imbalances are going to benefit greatly from cutting out caffeine during the healing process. I don't mean forever. I just mean that while you're trying to heal your body, getting rid of any extra stressors on your body is going to help. And in general, if you live a high stress lifestyle, adding caffeine into that may be doing more harm than good. So that was a lot. Before I get into my 2 months without caffeine, I do have to give a quick shout out to Organifi, this lovely drink that I have been drinking that is not coffee. It looks like coffee, it's not coffee. This video was not gonna be sponsored, and then I found Organifi's chocolate gold as I was going through this process, and it was just so perfect that I wanted to partner with them on this video because it's literally perfect. This is essentially a like very healthy, balancing turmeric hot chocolate. Not only is it thick and rich and creamy and delicious and satisfies all of my chocolate cravings that I was trying to satisfy with my morning iced mochas, but it also does the opposite of caffeine, where caffeine spikes cortisol, is a stressor on the body. This is full of adaptogens, mainly reishi, that helps balance the body, decrease cortisol, put your body in a much more restful state. It also has ingredients to reduce inflammation. Like, for me, it was exactly what I was looking for to replace my morning coffee and like give me the benefits that I would like to get out of a morning delicious chocolatey beverage without all of the drawbacks that I was getting from caffeine. So if you are looking into quitting caffeine or just taking a break from it to get off of it for a bit, assess your relationship with it, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, I highly recommend replacing it with Organifi's chocolate gold. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down in the description box below. You can go to Organifi.com/fitandnerdy, use the code FITAndNerdy to get yourself 20% off. Now, without further ado, let's see how I did without caffeine for 2 months. I am on my way to get my last cup of coffee. I say first last because this isn't my last cup of coffee. I am planning on slowly tapering down. A lot of people decide to quit cold turkey, and yes, that would probably make for a much more entertaining YouTube video because I would just be miserable for like 3 days straight, unable to focus, unable to get anything done. Just like a sad little being stuck at my computer, not actually doing anything productive. But I don't have time to not be productive. And I feel like most of you probably don't have time to not be productive. So I wanted to do this in a much more practical way where I will still be able to be a functional human being. I can still get work done, all while also being able to reduce my caffeine intake. So the plan is to slowly taper down my intake of caffeine over, I mapped it out, I think it's gonna take me about 5 or 6 days. I'm doing this like very conservatively, probably don't need to be like so gentle about it, but I'm also kind of desperately clinging on to my mochas because I love them. Like, this is exhibit A of addict behavior. I'm trying to draw it out as long as possible and keep it in my life as long as possible while simultaneously trying to quit. This is why I want to quit. I do not want a substance controlling me like this. It's ridiculous. But yes, today is my last cup of coffee for a while. On my way to get my last cup of coffee. Today, I got a regular cup of coffee with a little bit of almond milk and some mocha syrup. It's my next step down on my lowering caffeine journey. Today is day 3, and we will officially be at half the amount of caffeine that I've been intaking. I'm gonna go in and try to ask for a single espresso shot because this coffee shop's default is a double espresso shot in a latte. So I'm excited because I'm gonna get my normal iced mocha. Just gonna have less caffeine, which is fine. It's fine. We're fine. So I was talking to my mom on the phone last night and I was telling her I don't know what I'm gonna do for today because yesterday I had 70 milligrams of caffeine, which is half the amount that I've been having. Go me. But I didn't want to go from 70 to 0. I wanted something in between. I'm probably gonna take 2 more days where I actually have some amount of caffeine in my system. So today I wanted to be able to have like 50-ish. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and order half an espresso shot or half a cup of coffee. Like, that's just ridiculous. I was like, what am I going to do? And then at the same time, we both had the genius idea. 4 SIGMATIC coffees are 50 milligrams of caffeine. So this is what we're doing today. I am going to take one of my 4 SIGMATIC cordyceps coffee packets to the coffee shop with me. I'm gonna order either a hot chocolate or a decaf mocha, whatever I feel like when I get there. Either way, that will have 5 milligrams of caffeine, maybe because of the chocolate sauce. And then I'm just gonna add this. So I'll probably bring a little whisk with me so that I can whisk it together. So it's now like 5:30 and I am exhausted. My motivation has been at 0 today. There's a couple reasons that could be it. Might not be caffeine withdrawal, but it the caffeine probably had something to do with it. Like, I also didn't get 8 hours of sleep last night. I got closer to 7. That could explain being tired. But I think it's worthy of note how I am feeling right now, because I have like zero motivation to do anything. So today is the day we're going straight decaf. When I Googled last night, I discovered that a lot of decaf espresso has anywhere between like 3 and 10 milligrams of caffeine in it. So if I get a double shot of decaf, it could be anywhere from like 6 to 20 milligrams. Today will be a double decaf espresso shot, which means minimal amount of caffeine, but definitely some caffeine. Today is officially last day of caffeine. I got an iced mocha with 1 shot of decaf, so theoretically this should have like less than 10 milligrams of caffeine in it. Although I have to say I'm kind of disappointed, it tastes funny. And I'm actually on my way to San Diego right now, which I think is perfect timing because I'll be there for 2 or 3 days. And when I'm at my parents' house, there's nowhere within like a 10-minute walk that I can just walk and get coffee. So I can't do my normal like coffee morning routine. So I think this is gonna be really good to just like reinforce the habit of not having coffee in the morning. So today is day 1, no coffee, no coffee shop, no nothing. So far, feeling good. Wouldn't expect any detox symptoms like day 1. But I wanna quickly touch on how to do a coffee detox protocol to minimize any withdrawal symptoms. And it's pretty simple. Basically, reduce your caffeine intake by like 15 to 25% per day, and you'll be good. So what this could look like if you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day right now is every day decrease by 1 cup of coffee, or every other day decrease by 1 cup of coffee. Or if you're currently drinking like 2 cups of coffee a day, you can cut out like half a cup of coffee a day, or every other day. I think what I did to taper off was a little bit more extended than it necessarily needed to be, but there's no reason to make this hard on yourself and try to quit cold turkey and like go through the whole pain of the withdrawal. Like, take your time coming off caffeine. There's no rush. Quitting cold turkey is entirely unnecessary, and you're not gonna draw out the pain of the withdrawal process if you decrease your caffeine intake in small enough increments that you don't even feel the withdrawal. And beyond that, my other big tip is prioritize sleep. You need to rebalance your cortisol when you're decreasing a substance that naturally spikes your cortisol. Sleep is the most restorative way to do that. Moving forward, now that I've come off coffee, my rules are obviously no coffee. I think I'm gonna allow decaf coffee, at least for now, because there's such minimal caffeine in it. Like, there's less caffeine in a cup of decaf coffee than there is in like a couple squares of chocolate. Going to allow chocolate because this would be a whole other ball game if I were also trying to cut out chocolate, because chocolate is life, and I would be very, very sad without it. So I'm gonna prioritize like milk chocolate because that's gonna have the lower caffeine content, or if I do have like darker chocolate, I'm just not gonna have a ton of dark chocolate. And I think I was originally gonna do this for 30 days. I was gonna do this for a month, but I think I wanna just do this until 2022. Like until the new year. Because I really do want this to be something that changes my habits and is not just like a fun 30-day experiment where I go back to my lifestyle before this. Like, I want to really ingrain the lack of coffee habit into my lifestyle, and I think 2 months is a much more solid amount of time to feel comfortable with that. Also, because I'm not particularly attached to caffeine, I have no particular desire to like try to add it back in as fast as possible. So we're just gonna do this for the rest of the year. So I've been home at my parents' house for a couple days, and I was absolutely right. Not having quick access to a coffee shop is making it much easier to not immediately wake up and think, I'm gonna go walk to the coffee shop and get a coffee. Like, my mom does not have any caffeinated coffee in the house. She drinks decaf. And if I wanted to like go get a coffee, I would have to like get in the car and drive for like 7 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like for some reason in my head, walking 10 minutes to get a coffee just feels a lot easier than having to like go get in my car, start my car, drive somewhere, go like get a coffee, drive home. Like, half the fun of getting the coffee for me is walking to the coffee place, and there is no walkable coffee shop from this house. So I couldn't even do it even if I wanted to. I mean, I do want to, but like I can't. I think the addiction is broken. Like, I feel fine. I don't feel fatigued at all without caffeine. I don't feel like my brain is foggy at all. Like, I feel like I felt with caffeine. Like, I feel normal. One of my favorite things about walking to get coffee every morning was literally the walk. Like, walking to and from the coffee shop. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So since I am trying to break that habit, I've decided to replace that habit with walking to the gym every morning. And this has already made me so happy. Like, one of my favorite parts of my routine in college was walking to the gym every morning. I just feel like it sets up my day in such a productive way, and I'm starting in a much more positive way for like what I value and what my goals are and what I actually genuinely enjoy. Because coffee overall was a very neutral thing in my life. Like, it didn't bring me a lot of benefits or positives or anything. But the gym brings me happiness and it brings me health. And if I start my day by going to the gym, then I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. And like, it sets up my whole day in a way that just makes me overall feel better, feel more productive, have more energy. Like, this is why I wanted to clear coffee out of my life, was to make more space for things that would bring me more joy and more positivity. And this is absolutely one of those things that quitting coffee has made space for, that is now bringing me so much more happiness. So this is kind of interesting. I have literally not noticed the lack of caffeine in my body. I do know that I still have this slight like mental addiction where I wake up and I think, oh, I'd like to go get a coffee. I guess it's the habit. I haven't broken the habit of wanting to get up and get a coffee yet, but as far as like the physiological addiction goes, I think I'm fine. It's been a month. I feel great. I don't miss caffeine, that's for sure. I don't miss like the drug part of this. I miss coffee a little bit. I think it's the sugar. Like, I think getting like an iced dark chocolate milk would satisfy the craving that I have. Like, I don't feel deprived or like sad without my caffeine or anything like that. Like, it's not something that is calling to me anymore. Will I drink coffee eventually? Yes. I would like to have an occasional cup of joe. Where does that even come from? Why do you call it a cup of joe? It's kind of weird. But like, I'm feeling good. I'm very happy I did this. So I had a realization this morning about why I think I haven't been able to shake the craving for a morning beverage. And I realized that I have had a morning beverage a lot longer than I have been having coffee regularly. For a good couple years before I started drinking coffee regularly, I would have a kombucha every morning. This is a very ingrained behavior that goes way past having a morning coffee. So I'm cutting myself some slack on that. And I think what I'd like to do, because I liked having kombucha every morning. That was not something that I ever wanted to quit or actively decided to quit doing. So I don't think I necessarily want to or need to quit having a morning beverage. So what I'm gonna do, because it's been about a month of no coffee, I'm gonna start experimenting with other drinks and beverages and yummy things and see what else I can incorporate into my life. I like the ritual of it. I like how it makes me feel, and it's not something that I feel like doesn't serve me, so I see no reason to give it up. Right, Ernie? We like our morning beverages. So, my OG subscribers will know that I have been obsessed with Organifi for a very long time, or at least I was obsessed with Organifi, like hardcore for a little bit, but like everything from them. And that was a couple years ago. And so when I was looking for things to replace my morning coffee with, I remembered that they have this like chocolatey gold juice, I think is what they used to call it, but now they just call it chocolate gold. And I was like, we gotta go back to this, because this was exactly kind of what I was looking for, because it's kind of gonna do the opposite of what coffee was doing. So coffee, or caffeine rather, it's a stimulant. It's going to spike cortisol. Also, I was getting drinks that were full of sugar, because gotta love me some good chocolate mocha. And spiking your blood sugar and your cortisol at the same time is just like not the healthiest way to start your day, in my opinion. So I'm making a little bit right now. I have just been loving like taking a cup of this and heating it up in the morning. And it's just such a treat, because it's still chocolate. Like, it's still that flavor that I crave and love in the morning. It feels like I am treating myself to a delicious, rich, creamy, hot chocolate first thing in the morning, which is, it sets up my day so well also, because right now while I'm filming this, probably not by the time I post this video, but while I'm filming this, I'm in a cut. I'm in a calorie deficit. Like, I'm actively trying to lose fat. And when you're doing that, you can often feel kind of restricted. But I'm literally starting my day with one of the most delicious things on the planet. And so that definitely helps me feel a lot less restricted, feel a lot more like mentally I'm giving myself what I want while still achieving my goals. And so it's been really helpful in that aspect too. This is everything I wanted and more. Why did I ever drink coffee? Why did I not just drink this? Something I've noticed is that because I have replaced my morning coffee walks with morning gym walks, on my rest days when I don't go to the gym, I get like no steps in. Like, it is 4:30 p.m. right now and I have gotten in 2,000 steps. Like, yes, it's a rest day, I don't need to be that active, but when I'm super sedentary, it negatively affects my mood, it negatively affects my energy, negatively affects my mental clarity. Like, I want to get some amount of movement in. So what I think I've decided is that moving forward, my rest days from the gym will be coffee shop days if I'm not doing something else that's going to get me active. Not coffee days, not on my way to get myself caffeine. I'm on my way to get myself a little hot chocolate because, again, it's 4:30, it's quite cold out. Hot chocolate sounds yummy. But I feel like this is a good way to get myself that nice little hit of dopamine that I get from walking to the coffee shop while still having like a good relationship with caffeine. So I think rest days are a good day to be a little more indulgent with these things, like treating myself to a little walk to a coffee shop and a nice little hot chocolate. And it will ensure that I am staying active, getting my steps in, and keeping myself feeling as good as I physically can. Got my hot chocolate. I'm very happy about it. It's the perfect temperature too. Fun fact, I'm usually terrified of hot beverages. Like, I think I'm gonna burn my tongue off every time. So the fact that this is perfect drinking temperature makes my little heart very happy. It's amazing how much of an impact the one small decision of quitting caffeine has made on my life. I feel like so many other things have kind of fallen into place because of this decision, not necessarily because like quitting caffeine in itself has brought me a lot of benefits. I feel like it has in some sense. Like, I'm not dependent on caffeine anymore. That makes me very happy. But it was more so the act of making that decision, like, for me, for myself, that kind of kickstarted my ability to make other decisions and commit to other things. Like, not only have I started walking to the gym more, which is getting me more steps, but I'm more consistent with the gym because of it. I look forward to the gym more because of it. I have had more success with my weight loss journey in the last 2 months since quitting caffeine than I did in the whole year before that I was kind of trying to lose fat. I'm out on a walk right now. I like haven't gone, I used to go on daily walks all the time, like just to get steps in, to get movement in, and that was something that had kind of fizzled out of my life, and now it's something that's back in my life. It was one small decision that empowered me to keep making small decisions for myself that have brought me a lot of other great benefits, health-wise, both physically and mentally, also just like joy. So I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that this process has been transformative, and I love it. I'm very, very happy I did this. And that was my basically 2 months without caffeine. In addition to empowering myself to continue to make small positive changes, I think I got some other benefits from this experiment. First is my skin is so much better, and this is probably not entirely due to the caffeine. I was doing a few other things to help my skin, but I would not be surprised if quitting caffeine did help tremendously, because my skin flares are strongly correlated with stress, and like I said, caffeine can increase cortisol. So I think quitting caffeine sped up the healing process. And just to show you, this was my skin like right before I quit caffeine. This is my skin now. Other benefits include I no longer have to drink coffee in the morning to feel normal. This was my primary goal. I have achieved it. I'm very happy about that. I also feel like I have more space in my life and my diet for things that bring me more joy and happiness and health. And now I can use caffeine acutely if I want to boost energy, boost workout performance, boost focus, etc. Whereas before, being caffeinated to feel normal was my baseline, and so I would have had to drink extra caffeine to get those benefits. Now I can get those benefits if I want to have a cup of coffee. Am I happy that I did this? 100% yes. Am I ever going to have coffee again? 100% yes. My goal is just to have my previous relationship with caffeine, where I was more than happy to have 2 to 4 cups a month, just as needed for energy or just desired yumminess, but not as needed to feel normal. But that said, I think people can have a perfectly healthy relationship with caffeine and have it every day as long as they're aware of the fact that their body is probably physiologically addicted to it. But I think if it's a cup of coffee a day, I don't think that's inherently like a negative or bad thing, because again, coffee does have a ton of health benefits. It's mostly the awareness of your relationship with it, a willingness to be able to quit caffeine if you ever desired to, and not feeling that like anger triggered resistance to the idea of it, and then not using it to cover up any health issues. I think that's how I would define a healthy relationship with caffeine. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your relationship with caffeine is, and if you would consider quitting caffeine temporarily. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel, and I really genuinely appreciate it. Make sure you check out the Organifi Chocolate Gold and my ebooks on sale, linked down below. If you want to see more videos from me all about health and fitness, you can check them out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Happy New Year. Cheers.